Abandoned at 21, pregnant girl's shocking turning point when a millionaire steps in. The news hit like a thunderclap across town. One blink, and everything could change for Emily. Just 21, she stood at the intersection of fear and desperation, her stomach swelling with a life she never intended. A solitary photo circulated, her teary eyes glistening under the harsh fluorescent lights of the clinic, the world outside blurred and chaotic. Whispers echoed around her as rumors spread like wildfire. Who would abandon a girl with a baby? But this was no ordinary story. Emily was not just any girl. Just days before, she'd been lifting her head proudly above swirling gossip and judgment from an unforgiving town. Now, she was alone. The father was nowhere to be found, his absence like a gaping hole in her heart. Her dreams of a bright future crumbled like ash in her hand. Soon, she would be homeless, on the grimy streets where uncertainty lurked around every corner. In the midst of tragedy, something unexpected happened. A sleek black limousine rolled up outside the clinic like something out of a movie, a spaceship from another world. The door swung open, revealing a figure draped in an expensive tailored suit, looking more like a businessman than a knight in shining armor. As he moved through the crowd, heads turned, jaws hit the floor. Who was this man? Tension crackled in the air. Emily's heart raced, she felt an unexplainable connection to him. The crowd gasped, their expressions a mix of disbelief and curiosity. Could this millionaire actually change the course of her life? Or was it just another hollow promise in her heart-wrenching saga? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Back at the clinic, the atmosphere thickened with trepidation. The millionaire stepped closer, his piercing gaze locked on Emily. A warm smile broke across his face, promising safety and solace. What did he see in her? Could he really be her saving grace amidst the storm? She felt an unsettling mix of hope and fear welling up inside her. What if he was her only chance? What if accepting his help meant something she couldn't take back? Her pulse quickened as she stood frozen, contemplating the turning point laid out before her. Would she seize the opportunity or cling to the familiar pain of her heartbreak? The crowd buzzed with murmurs, eyes fixed on the scene unfolding like a dramatic play. Everyone held their breath, waiting for Emily's next move, and the unpredictable future unfurled before her. What would she choose? Emily's heart thundered in her chest, each beat a reminder that choices weighed heavy. The millionaire stood before her like a mirage, yet the warmth of his smile felt achingly real. She could feel the people around her lean in, their hushed whispers wrapping around her like an invisible shroud. What if she couldn't trust him? Was this a kind gesture, or something darker lurking beneath the surface? Emily, he said, his voice smooth as silk, slicing through her confusion. I've heard your story. I want to help. A chill ripped through her as his words settled like lead in her stomach. Help? There was an undeniable allure to the offer, a light shining through her darkness, but who was this man? Why me? She breathed, her voice barely above a whisper, his eyes softened, a flicker of genuine compassion sparking within. Because sometimes, people need a hand. You shouldn't have to face this alone. He gestured about them, indicating the crowd that was now watching her with bated breath, their judgment written all over their faces. People are talking, she replied, swallowing hard. The reality of her situation crashed over her again, the weight of her pregnancy, the lone future ahead, and the fear of what lay in the shadows. His response was immediate, his confidence unwavering. Let them talk. What matters is what you decide for yourself. I can offer you a place to stay, a job, and support. It's all yours if you want it. The offer dangled before her like a lifeline, but the enormity of it settled like smoke in her lungs. Nothing in life came without strings. What do you get out of this? Let us just say I have my reasons. His smile was enigmatic, his expression too polished to read. But I assure you it's more than charity. The murmurs grew louder. She can't seriously consider this. Someone exclaimed. He is probably lying. Instinctually, Emily felt her walls rise, but the truth cut through. She could be homeless in a few weeks, left to navigate this terrifying new world by herself. Can I think about it? She managed, her voice barely above a whisper again. The crowd held its breath. Of course. His gaze didn't waver. Take all the time you need, but remember, opportunities like this don't last forever. And just like that, he stepped back, allowing the space to breathe. The crowd began to stir again, their whispers growing into taunts and doubts. For a moment, all Emily could hear was the chaotic blend of voices around her. But underneath it all, a tension simmered, each voice pulling her in different directions. Who are you really? She whispered to herself, clutching her stomach as if to shield the life growing inside her from both judgment and uncertainty. Behind the millionaire, the limo sat waiting, an ominous reminder of a path towards a new life if she chose to take it. Yet deep down, she felt a clamor of warning bells ring in her mind. Before she could unravel her thoughts, a sudden commotion erupted in the crowd. A woman was shoving her way forward, desperation etched across her features. Emily. Don't listen to him. Her heart sank. Who was this intruder, and what would she reveal? Emily's breath hitched, nerves and anticipation intertwining. What was hiding behind the $1,000,000 facade, and how could one decision build or shatter her future? The woman's eyes were wide, a look of urgency spilling forth. I need to warn you. Emily's pulse raced as the woman approached, her frantic energy slicing through the crowd's murmurs. The eyes of the onlookers shifted, drawn into this unexpected drama unfolding before them. Please. You don't know who he really is. The woman shouted, her voice trembling yet fierce. Emily could only stare, a knot forming in her throat. Who was this stranger, and what threat did she pose to the glimmer of hope offered by the man who seemed too good to be true? Who are you? Emily managed to ask, her voice quaking with uncertainty. I'm Sarah, the woman said, stepping closer, almost pleading. I know him. You can't trust him. The millionaire's expression shifted, a flicker of irritation shadowing his previously composed demeanor. This isn't necessary, he said, his tone smooth but edged with steel, as if he was accustomed to maintaining control, but Sarah pushed on, eyes wild. You think he is here to help you? Think again. He is dangerous. Just a few months back, a girl just like you disappeared. She was pregnant too after accepting his help. Emily felt her heart drop. Why was she feeling more trapped with every passing second? The weight of her despair threatened to pull her under. What are you saying? Listen to me. Sarah insisted, desperation leaking through her words. I know what he has done. There are stories. Dark secrets. He may offer you comfort, but it's a facade, a bait. The crowd buzzed with uncertainty, eyes darting between the two women. Gasps rippled through the throng. Is that true? An older woman shouted from the back. What are you saying, Sarah? You can't just accuse him without proof. Emily's mind spun. Her instinct was telling her to run from the millionaire, from the chaos surrounding her, but what if she was jumping from the frying pan into the fire? He is charismatic, but it's all a game, Sarah continued, standing her ground, her expression fiery despite the odds. His help comes at a price you can't afford to pay. The millionaire smiled now, but it was cold, a mask slipping into place. Sarah, you're causing a scene. You don't know what you're talking about. Then prove me wrong. She shot back, defiance coloring her voice. You might sweep Emily off her feet today, but later, you'll rip her heart out. Emily's breath hitched painfully. The conflicting emotions twisted inside her like a storm. A piece of her wanted to believe Sarah it felt safer, but she also sensed the sincerity behind the millionaire's offer. Could she swing toward vulnerability, or was this too much risk? "Emily, you have to trust your instincts," Sarah urged, stepping even closer, her eyes locked onto Emily's. "Please, think of your baby. Don't allow him to manipulate you. You could lose everything." Time stood still as the weight of the decision swirled within her. The millionaire remained unfazed, face composed, but his jaw clenched slightly, tension brimming just beneath the surface. Emily's stomach twisted painfully. What if Sarah was right? What if she was walking right into a trap? But if the millionaire was genuine, could this be a chance she couldn't afford to miss? "Emily, make your choice," the millionaire said finally, his voice a velvet pull over steel. "You have a future to consider. Don't let fear overshadow your opportunity." The crowd waited with bated breath, the tension crackling like static in the air. Emily felt the voices around her blur into a faint echo. It was just her, the millionaire, and Sarah, 3 lives intertwined in a moment hanging in the balance. "Make your choice," she repeated softly, as if the words were a spell that could snap her from this haze. As Emily searched the faces around her, desperately seeking clarity, the weighty silence shattered with a thunderous bang, an unexpected explosion that jolted her into the present and left her heart racing. What was that? Someone yelled, fear erupting in the crowd as chaos unfurled around them. Emily turned, her mind racing again. Was this a diversion set by the millionaire? Or was something much worse about to unfold? Before she could process where to go next, her world dimmed, everything swirling into shadow. She had to decide, stay with safety or lean into the dark unknown. Her heart pounded. An impossible choice loomed ahead, and time was slipping away. The crowd erupted, screams mingling with the sound of shattered glass. Emily could hardly process it, people pushing, stumbling, desperate to escape the unseen danger. A dull throbbing in her head pulsed with each rapid heartbeat. "Get down!" Someone shouted, and instinct took over. Emily ducked low, clutching her stomach as if it could shield her from the chaos. Nearby, Sarah was on her knees, eyes wide, mouth moving, but the words drowned in the rising panic. "Emily!" The millionaire's voice sliced through the clamor, calm amidst the storm. He stepped forward, defying the wave of fleeing bodies, hazel eyes scanning for her. "This way!" he urged, his gesture beckoning her to follow, but another part of her screamed to run the other way. Was he leading her to safety or into a trap? The noise intensified, another explosion rippling through the crowd, and Emily's instincts kicked in. She could see people diving, some shielding their heads with their arms, the sheer terror painted on their faces triggering a primal fear inside her. "Emily!" The millionaire called again, and this time his voice was longer, tethered to urgency. It carried a sense of command. He was close now, inches away, but something in his expression flickered a glimpse of anxiety beneath the facade. "Come on!" He reached for her, and she hesitated, weighing his outstretched hand against Sarah's warnings, the image of a girl lost in shadows serving as a chilling backdrop. "Don't trust him!" Sarah screamed, scrambling to rise, her voice echoing amidst the lurking dread. "He's playing a game." Emily turned from one to the other, the decision boiling to a fever pitch. The vision of her baby pressed against her in a swell of warmth, and suddenly the walls of reality pressed tight against her chest. I can't." Then a sudden flicker of light caught her eye. A flash of something. Was it a weapon? Her heart sank. The realization flashed before her like a neon sign. Whatever was happening was wrapped in shadows she couldn't see. In that instant, the millionaire lunged toward her, gripping her wrist. "We need to go now." His voice had dropped an octave, the intensity now bordering on urgency. She felt the strength in his hand, but uncertainty gnawed at her. Just then, Sarah surged forward, breaking through the mass. "He's lying, Emily. Don't listen to him." She reached for Emily, her hand desperate, Emily's heart raced. It felt like the earth shifted beneath her, one path promised fear, the other safety. Possibility. But what did she truly know? As the cacophony raged, another loud bang erupted. Time seemed to stretch as both women's eyes locked onto her, clarity mingling with chaos. She could leap toward the distant glimmer of safety or plunge into the unknown, where truth might be waiting to reveal itself. Then, with a final surge of adrenaline, she tore her wrist from the millionaire's grip. "No. I'm not going anywhere with you," she blurted out, voice taut with defiance. In that moment, she felt both liberated and terrified. The millionaire's eyes hardened, and for the first time, the mask slipped fully away, revealing something darker beneath. "You're making a mistake," he warned, a hint of menace threading through his elegant speech. The crowd surged, panic clawing at Emily's throat, and she felt the heat of urgency behind her. Footsteps echoed as people dashed, and a sickening realization struck her: it was getting harder to breathe. "Trust me," Sarah pleaded. "We have to get out." The ground felt like it was tilting beneath her. Decisions raced through her mind, but the very ground began to quiver as another explosion crackled in the distance, shadows closing in around her. "Emily!" Fear saturated the shout, leaving her frozen, trapped in a moment that seemed endless. Was it really possible to find safety amidst chaos? Then, out of the storm, a blinding light pierced the darkness, illuminating a figure stepping from the shadows. Emily squinted, breath catching. She hardly knew if it was salvation or doom, but one thing was sure: the game was escalating, and choices sharpened into an unsparing edge. With a trembling pulse, she realized she had to decide: stay with the familiar, or follow the light into the abyss. What awaited her on that path? The answer trembled close, as uncertainty loomed ever larger. The figure stepped forward, illuminated by the bright light pulsating behind. Emily's breath caught in her throat, a mix of hope and dread swirling in her chest. Was it someone here to help, or was danger merely shifting forms? "Emily!" The stranger called, his voice cutting through the chaos like a knife. Familiarity tinged his tone, but she couldn't place him. He stepped closer, the light casting long shadows across his face. She squinted, trying to focus through the haze of panic. The millionaire's grip tightened around her wrist, and anger flared within her. "Let me go!" she shouted, pulling away. He hesitated, eyes darting from her to the newcomer. "Come with me, now!" The man called again, urgency lacing his words as he forged through the chaos. His presence seemed magnetic, compelling her closer, even as her instincts warned to run. Blast after blast rocked the venue, and debris rained down around them. People screamed, but she had never felt such a pull to follow someone before. The memories of fear engulfed them, reminding her of the bitter isolation of these past few days. "Don't trust him," the millionaire shouted, his calm facade crumbling. "He's part of this. He knows what's happening." Emily's heart raced as she searched the new man's face. That flicker of recognition, it was unsettling because she couldn't remember where she had seen him. His eyes, deep with intensity, seemed to penetrate her very being. Another explosion behind them sent a wave of screams echoing through the air, and the crowd surged like a tsunami. Emily stumbled, her footing lost, and the millionaire seized the opportunity, dragging her backward, but the new figure jumped in front, blocking their path. "Stop! We've got to get her out of here before it's too late." There was desperation in his voice, and something else: truth. "Right. I can't just..." She felt the weight of the world on her shoulders. Images of her baby washed over her, she couldn't let fear win. "What do you know?" she asked, voice rising above the din. "It's him. He wants something from you, and he won't stop until he gets it." "What?" she gasped. The weight of the moment pressed in, making it harder to breathe. "What do you want?" she shot at the millionaire, eyes angry, heart pounding. "I'm trying to help you," he snapped, eyes narrowing. But doubt curdled in her gut. How could she trust a man who just moments ago had seemed like a saint and now bore a shadowy semblance of menace? Listen. The other man interrupted, his voice fierce and pleading. We don't have much time. They're coming for everyone here, and you're in the crosshairs because of what you carry. She flinched at his words. What does he mean by that? Her mind raced with implications, heart quickening as the chaos around them reached fever pitch. Does it really matter? The millionaire spat, taking a step forward. I can ensure your safety, if you just come with me. Just trust me. His eyes burned with a mix of persistence and something darker. Emily was lost, pulled between two forces, each calling to a different part of her. I don't know who to believe. And in that moment, the crowd gasped, a collective intake of air so sharp it felt like a physical blow. She turned. A squad of figures emerged, marching with a confidence born of control, uniforms glinting in the desperate light, agents of order in a world spiraling toward chaos. The crowd broke again, screaming louder than ever before. The flashing lights danced around the venue, illuminating a world that felt unreal. Each pounding heartbeat echoed in synchrony with her spiraling thoughts. Emily. The cry broke through, but it was swallowed by the tumult as she was jostled, pushed into disaster's waiting arms, but that spark of determination ignited in her chest, and she wouldn't go down without a fight. Which way to safety? Could she stand firm amidst the tempest? Could she reclaim her choices? A rush of resolve surged through her. With a deep breath, she steeled herself, preparing to choose, or could it already be too late? The chaos was closing in fast, and what she feared most was nothing compared to the uncertainty of what lay ahead. What truth was waiting just behind that light, and would she have the strength to face it? The ground trembled underfoot as the sound of approaching footsteps clashed with the echoing screams. Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She glanced desperately at the figures in uniform, their faces obscured beneath helmets, marching purposefully through the throng like a storm breaking. She couldn't tell if they were here to restore order or unleash another wave of chaos. Move. This way. The stranger beckoned again, and, in that frantic moment, her instincts screamed at her to follow him. A piece of her lingered on the millionaire, whose face was taut with rage and urgency. He was the devil she knew, the one who'd taken her from the dark before, but had his mask slipped, or was it just the world around them that had warped into something monstrous? Go. The stranger's voice cracked through her reverie. With a sudden surge of adrenaline, Emily yanked free from the millionaire's grip. She sprinted toward the stranger, forcing her legs to carry her past the writhing mass of bodies and debris. Fear unleashed the animal in her. She had to escape, to survive for herself and her child. But the moment she reached him, she felt the billionaire's presence looming behind them, a tyrant abandoned by the crowd. You're making a mistake. He bellowed, fury dripping from his words. Shut up. The stranger shouted back, glancing over his shoulder as they ducked behind a barrier that had fallen. You don't know what you're talking about. Emily barely had a moment to catch her breath before another explosion erupted nearby, sending a fresh wave of panic surging through the crowd. The city didn't just feel like it was falling apart, it felt like it was being torn apart. What do you want from me? She gasped, taking a step back, the horror of her situation sinking into her bones as she scrutinized the man. He was acting like a knight in shining armor, but what if he was just another wolf in sheep's clothing? Trust me. He replied, desperation softening the edges of his urgent tone. You and your baby are in danger. They want what you carry inside you, and they'll stop at nothing to get it. She shook her head, the weight of the decision crashing down on her. What do you mean, what I carry? We don't have time. He grabbed her shoulders, eyes wild. You're special, Emily. I can explain later, just not here. We have to move. Then he turned, motioning her toward a narrow exit hidden behind a curtain of flames licking the walls. Emily hesitated, looking back at the millionaire. His face, once charming, now twisted with menace, made a shiver run down her spine. Every part of her wanted to flee, yet every ounce of common sense urged her to remain cautious. Emily. The millionaire's voice bristled again. He's lying. How can you trust a man who won't even show you his face? But while he spoke, a cold wave sliced through the chaos, the tension rising to an unbearable height. Thunderous footsteps could be heard, accompanied by shouts close enough to chill her blood. The agents were closing in, their shouts growing sharper. Get down. Emily's breath caught in her throat again as fear rooted her to the spot. Would she run with someone she barely knew, pinning all her hopes on a stranger's desperate promises? Or would she cling to the familiarity of the man who had once shown her kindness, even if there was now a haunting darkness behind his eyes? Time's up. The stranger shouted fiercely, snapping her out of her stupor. Now, Emily. Heart racing, she moved to follow him. The chaos erupted around them, and the world outside shrieked for attention, falling into shadow as explosions continued to light the sky. She took a single step into that throat of darkness, and the suffocating uncertainty followed her. As she fled, there was a final glimpse of the millionaire staring at her, wild desperation in his eyes. What choice had she made? The path ahead was shrouded in mystery, a chasm of the unknown filled with secrets she dared not imagine. But one thing was certain, whatever lay waiting in that darkness would change everything. Would it be salvation, or the kind of danger that would swallow her whole? And as she ran, that question hung in the air, teasing answers she wasn't ready for. The heat pressed down as Emily and the stranger plunged through the flickering haze. The crackling flames painted shadows on the walls, twisting into grotesque shapes that danced like mocking demons. She could hear the distant roars of chaos, screams woven with the thick scent of smoke and fear. Her heart raced, matching the erratic rhythm of the pandemonium around her. Just a little further. The stranger urged, his voice hoarse, almost swallowed by the sounds of despair. Her legs felt like lead, straining against the instinct to look back, to seek comfort in the familiar face of the millionaire. But guilt clawed at her like a hungry beast. Was escaping with this stranger a mistake? Was she trading one evil for another, stumbling into an even darker fate? Who are you? She gasped, forcing herself to keep pace beside him, the shadows distorting his features. A friend, he said, an edge of urgency lacing his words. But right now, I'm your only ally. They rounded a corner and came face to face with a barricade, a wall of debris that jutted out like a fortress in a war zone. Emily's breath hitched. How would they get over that? Before she could voice her worry, the stranger leapt forward, grabbing a loose beam and shoving it aside. Help me. Panic surged through her. What if they got trapped? Or worse, what if the agents were right behind them, closing in? She joined him, pushing with all her strength despite her trembling arms. Sweat slicked her brow. Then, a noise shattered the chaos, a low, rumbling growl, like an angry animal clawing its way through the debris. Emily froze, dread pooling in her stomach. Come on. The stranger shouted, yanking her arm and pulling her through the gap they made. The world exploded into sound. The other side felt surreal, a tangled web of bodies and overturned vehicles. Flames crackled behind them, casting flickering light on the harsh reality of their surroundings. She could barely comprehend the pandemonium. People shouted, some weeping, others were trapped, their faces contorted in fear. Where do we go now? She cried, scanning the chaos for an exit. There's a safe house not far from here, he replied, his eyes darting as if he were a hawk looking for its prey. But we have to hurry. As they dashed through the mayhem, the ground shook again, sending tremors through their feet. Emily stumbled, catching herself just before she fell. Her breath came in gasps. Every flicker of movement sent her heart racing. She felt her baby move inside her, a gentle reminder of what was at stake. Emily. A voice cut through the noise, a familiar, desperate sound. The millionaire appeared in her peripheral vision, his figure cutting through the throng like a knife. There was something primal in his gaze, something hungry. You have to come back. You don't know what he is capable of. No. She shouted, fear anchoring her feet. Don't you see? You're part of this too. You're not who I thought you were. The stranger pulled her closer, shielding her from the sight of the millionaire. Go. He urged, propelling them forward. Now. Before it's too late. Yet dread didn't loosen its grip on her heart. The thoughts swirled chaotically. Was she really choosing to trust him? As she pushed onward, the shadows swallowed her doubt, but the nagging question became more profound. If the answers lay at the safe house, what truths would she uncover about herself and her unborn child? And was it really safety she sought, or just the illusion of hope? They tore through the crowd, every footfall heavier than the last. The mysterious safe house became a beacon in the tumult, lighting the path ahead. But as they got closer, Emily sensed the threat lurking behind them. Somewhere in the chaos, hunters were on their tail. What awaited them inside could mean life or death. Would the truth be worth the risk, or would shadows of the past come crashing down around her, engulfing everything she was fighting for? The stranger's grip tightened on Emily's arm as they poured out of the chaos, leaving behind the cacophony of screams and crackling fire. Each hurried step echoed in her mind like the ticking of a bomb, counting down to an uncertain fate. There! He shouted, pointing toward a dimly lit alley, a narrow escape between crumbling bricks. The safe house he mentioned loomed just beyond, hidden from view. We can use that. Without waiting for her response, he tugged her forward, their footsteps weaving through the debris-strewn path. Emily felt the heat still radiating from the flames behind them, an unwelcome reminder that the danger was all too real. She glanced back, dread swallowing her. The shadows were alive, twisting like serpents, and somewhere in the distance, she swore she saw a familiar silhouette. Was it the millionaire, still chasing her down like a wolf after prey? In that moment, uncertainty clawed at her gut. Focus! The stranger snapped, his voice cutting through her panic. We can't stop now. As they slipped into the alley, darkness enveloped them. The walls were riddled with graffiti and grime, and the air felt thicker here, almost suffocating. But it was better than the chaos outside. Is this place really safe? She managed to ask, trying to steady her breathing. That he hesitated, and in that fleeting moment, her heart sank. It's hidden, he replied, searching the shadows as if the answer might jump out at him. But we need to block the entrance. The reality of their situation hit her like a slap. They were both running from something more significant than just the flames. They were fighting their pasts, their choices. Emily's mind raced with the questions she was too afraid to voice. Was she really safer here? What if she was just exchanging one set of dangers for another? The stranger surveyed the alley, urgency carving lines into his face. They spotted a pile of discarded crates and debris uprooted from the street, remnants of whatever chaos had unfolded outside. Help me with this. Together they shoved the crates against the entrance, each thud echoing like a war drum. Emily took a breath, feeling the adrenaline spike in her veins, battling the confusion knotting her stomach. A part of her wanted to scream, the other part felt the weight of necessity. Do you really know what is going on? She asked, desperation leaking into her voice. Why are you helping me? I can't explain everything right now, he said, a flash of something like guilt crossing his eyes. But I promise, there are people who want to keep you safe. We just have to work together to get there. The uncertainty settled in her chest, heavy and cold. She thought of the millionaire again, of the comfort she once felt in his presence mixed with the unsettling darkness that seemed to bloom every time she was close to him. Out here, all she had was this stranger and her trembling resolve. Just then, a distant roar echoed through the alley. A car. No, more like an engine revving, chasing them down the narrow street. Emily's heart stuttered. Move! The stranger shouted, pulling her further into the shadows as the sounds closed in like predators. They hurried deeper into the alley, and the atmosphere grew thick, as if the very walls were closing in on them. With every step, the reality of their flight pressed down harder. Then came another voice, powerful and dark, crashing through the noise, a command that sliced through the chaos. "Emily! You don't want to do this." She froze, caught between two worlds, caught between the dread of what waited behind her and the uncertainty of what lay ahead. In that moment, a decision loomed heavy, a choice that could change everything. But as the shadows shifted, hinting at buried secrets and unseen truths, she realized, the real question was not where she would run, but whom she could trust to protect her and her child. Behind her, the roar of engines grew louder. Time was slipping away, and deep down, she knew the hunters were closing in. But what could possibly shield her from the crushing weight of betrayal and fear? With a desperate breath, she whispered, "What do we do now?" The stranger's eyes widened, scanning the dark alley, the weight of the moment pinning them both. Emily felt her heart pounding, a frantic rhythm drowning out the chaos behind them. "We can't stay here," he urged, gripping her shoulder, grounding her. "We have to keep moving." "What if it's him?" she gasped, desperate for some reassurance. The shadows swirled with her doubts, and every second felt like a countdown ticking away her chance for safety. "No," he promised, his voice steady despite the urgency. "It's not him. I'll explain everything when we're somewhere secure. Right now, we've got to go." Ignoring the heavy pit in her stomach, Emily nodded. Trusting strangers had never been easy for her, but running could only lead to one thing, danger. They plunged deeper into the labyrinth of dark alleyways, the distant chatter of the city dimming as they navigated this underground world. The stranger led with confidence, weaving through tight spaces, ducking under low-hanging pipes, and avoiding the broken glass scattered like booby traps on the ground. Then came the sound of footsteps, heavy and hurried. Emily froze again, eyes wide, instinct screaming at her to hide. Behind the dumpster. The stranger hissed, pushing her urgently. They squeezed into the cramped space, the air dense with the stench of refuse, the walls clammy and cold. The stranger pressed close, shielding her from view. Emily's heart raced, not just from panic but from the proximity of the stranger. There was an odd comfort in his presence, a stark contrast to the dread pooling in her stomach. She dared to peek out. Shadows shifted, shapes loomed. "Which way are they coming from?" "They'll take the main street," he whispered, his breath hot against her ear. "We've got a moment. Just stay quiet." From the darkness of the alley, the figure came into view. The millionaire. He appeared calm, almost too calm, as he scanned the alley, an aura of control surrounding him. There was something unnerving about the way he moved, like a cat toying with its prey. "Emily!" he called, his voice smooth, yet sharp enough to slice through the silence. "You don't have to hide. Just come out, and we can talk." Emily's breath hitched. The conflict inside her wrenched tighter. Did she really want to step back into the light with him? Or could she trust this stranger hiding next to her, who seemed to know more than he let on? "Stay still," the stranger murmured, watching her every move. The tension between the two men felt electric, charged with unspoken threats. The stranger's fingers tightened around her arm, his brow furrowing, concern etched deep into his features. The millionaire continued, each word dripping with charm, "I can protect you, Emily. You know that. I have resources, power. You don't have to run." "Power?" the stranger snapped, his voice low and fierce. "Is that what you call it, a facade? You think she'll trust you after everything?" The millionaire stepped forward, his gaze laser-focused. "Enough," he said, barely above a whisper, but the confidence radiating off him filled the space. "I won't let anyone harm her. You're wasting your time. She's better off with me." In that heartbeat, Emily felt the weight of their conflict. She was the prize in a twisted game. The alley echoed with unsaid dangers, choices that could shift everything. "This is just the beginning," the stranger whispered, his eyes unwavering. "Trust me and I promise, I'll get you out of this. But you have to decide. The million-dollar question weighed heavy. Could she trust her instincts, or follow the man who seemed bewitchingly safe? As she watched the two faces, one ghostly pale, the other forged in determination, the realization hit her this moment held the keys to her future. Before she could respond, the sounds of engines roared back to life, and she could no longer ignore the urgency crackling in the air. The cars were close now, the thud of footsteps growing louder. "Emily!" The millionaire called again, desperation cracking his smooth tone. And just like that, Emily's choice was not just about herself, it was about her child, about survival. With her heart racing and doubt swirling around her, she whispered, "What if we can't escape?" The world around Emily melted into chaos. The echo of her own heartbeat overpowered the sound of sirens, screams, and roaring engines. The air was thick, tasting of smoke and fear. She was caught in a tug-of-war, but time was slipping through her fingers like sand. "Emily, we don't have time," the stranger urged. His expression was fierce, a mix of determination and urgency. But their safe spot was threatened. She could feel the shadows closing in. "Trust me," he said again, eyes filled with a burning intensity. "You're too valuable to lose. We need to move." It wasn't just about her anymore. It was about the life within her that relied on her decision. Emily's breath quickened as she glanced at the millionaire, who must have sensed it too. His voice rang out, smooth and laced with honeyed promise. "You know me, Emily. I can provide for you. Safety, comfort, everything you need. I mean it. Come with me." But those words held a weight she couldn't ignore. The memory of rattling rumors and dark secrets flashed behind her eyes. Who was he really? Did she want to gamble her future on someone whose charm masked darker intentions? "Don't listen to him," the stranger hissed, breaking through the fog of her thoughts. "What he offers comes at a price that could destroy you. Trust your instincts, Emily. You have to break free of this game." The millionaire stepped forward, shadow creeping in behind him as a group of uniformed figures loomed ominously in the alley. They were close, too close. "You think you can protect her? You can't get her out of here." His voice was ice, a thin crack of danger now fashioned into fury. Emily's heart raced, the walls of her reality shrinking. She felt the weight of hope and fear clanging inside her like metal on metal. She was tired of choosing fear over hope, tired of someone else making decisions on her behalf. "No!" she cried, straining against the grip both figurative and literal she felt from both men. "I'm more than a prize to be fought over. I'm more than your options." She stepped back, breathing hard, needing space to think. As her eyes scanned the alley, she caught sight of the glimmer of freedom, that narrow exit beyond the madness, still unseen but palpably close. She could feel a shift in her spirit, a surge of defiance blossoming in her chest. "Let us go." She grabbed the stranger's hand, heart racing as they dashed toward the flickering light. "Emily! Come back!" the millionaire shouted, his voice cracking, threatening to break. Behind them, the world continued to explode into chaos. The distant sounds of officials threatened to overtake them, and she felt the shadows mixing with a blinding light. But she didn't look back. She couldn't afford to. The stranger led her forward, adrenaline pumping through her veins, every step taking her further away from what could have been a prison disguised as safety. The weight of her choices bore down, but every ounce of fear was met with steel determination. They pushed through the alley, the shadows scampering behind them, fear mingling with exhilaration. They emerged on the other side, out into the bare streets lined with the unmistakable signs of disaster. "Keep going," he whispered, urgency lighting his eyes. "Just a little longer." The air was cool against her skin, and for the first time in what felt like forever, untouched by the accompanying dread swirling in her gut. Was she risking everything? Yes. But something told her this was right. This was it. She could be freed. As they darted down one final stretch, two shapes emerged from the distance. The agents were closing in. Now!" he shouted as they raced into a side street, hearts pounding. There's a car waiting just a bit further. But with each step forward came a realization: Emily could carve her own destiny. She could run towards something new, chasing dreams that had always felt just out of reach. "Don't think," she spat out, glancing back just once to catch the glare of the millionaire, darkness thickening like storm clouds around him. "Don't think at all." Fighting back tears, she turned back toward the path ahead. Together with the stranger, she pushed onward, refusing to be constrained by old chains. Then, just like that, they broke through like dawn breaking over a long-fought night. A car was indeed waiting. Metal gleamed in the soft glow, an escape route to freedom. The engine roared to life like a wild stallion, promising a new adventure. As they dove into the back seat, Emily felt the rush wash over her, an overwhelming mix of fear, freedom, and the intoxicating scent of possibility. The past burned in the distance, the shadows chasing them off like fading memories. She tore her gaze from the chaos, inhaling sharply, realizing she had fought for her right to choose. It wasn't just survival, it was life, a fresh start. With that, Emily couldn't help but smile through her tears, finally free. And as the car sped away into the unknown, the shadows shrank behind them, a final reminder that she would never let someone else dictate her story again. This was her turning point. Now, we need you. Join the community, subscribe immediately so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support for the channel. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about Emily's incredible journey. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand how crucial your support is. Make your voice heard.